Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining Rethinking UX Masterclass. This is our third class, and in fact, the last class of Figma. In fact, that's why I was willing to know from you people. Does it excite you? How helpful it was, and wanted to maybe improve this so that next time onwards we might cover up those feedbacks. And also would like to know from you people if you are interested in like kind of very advanced level of Figma classes and all. We can think of that, or also if you have something in your mind like other than Figma, maybe you can think of some other things that you think it could be good to have a masterclass on that particular topic. We would love to know from you people only so that I can arrange those kind of masterclasses for you. So before any further delay, I would like to maybe start this very quickly. Like Karan, maybe you can take it over and start your next tips and tricks, because today we are going to cover primarily tips and tricks, because in last two classes we have covered a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
is kind of very beneficial for all of you. So let's get back to you. Karan, you may share your screen if you want to.
Sure, sure. Yeah, Pooja has said that she tried the interactive components. Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see the chat. Oh right, great.
Right. So she used the interactive components, and yeah, I think you all have to sign up for it first so that you can get access to it. And if once you get access, then it's a very good feature to have. In You can use that across component and even across non-UI design elements. You can use that, and that really helps a lot. I'll just share my screen just a
Yep.
second. Can you see it?
Not now. Yes,
Just
now we can.
this.
Now we can. It's loading.
Okay, you guys see it, right?
Yep, it's been
Okay,
loading.
okay, great.
So guys,
So
just
yeah,
like in between, if you have any questions or concerns, please raise your hand, and then Karan can take it whenever he just gets time to take it. Just let's not jump in between with the questions. Maybe you can raise your hand, then maybe me and Karan can ask you to ask your question.
sure, sure, sure. Anyone who's, I mean, if you have at any point, just let me know. Okay. So I'll just give a very brief introduction for people who are new. My name is Karan Kapoor, and I'm a UX designer based in New Delhi. And this sessions for about 1 year now, and I started learning Figma back, and it's almost been 1 year that I've been using it.
Karan,
But
seems there's some problem with your
yeah,
headphone. Sometime your voice is having some disturbance. Maybe some
okay,
headphone
let me
problem.
check. Let me
Maybe
check. I
reconnect
think
your
Mike,
phone. Yeah, Mike
Mike.
has
I
said
think
that.
I'll have to. Or is it just? Can you tell me if it's better now?
Yeah, it's fine right now. Sometime
Okay,
the
okay.
disturbance comes, but yeah, right now it's fine.
I think the wire moves a bit. Uh, okay, right. So yeah, I keep doing these sessions because I want people to see how the companies make scalable libraries, or how you can make scalable libraries in case you are trying to explore design as a career, or you are working as a freelancer. Because while working as a freelancer, it really helped me to build components with which, so whenever I get or used to get new projects, I used to use the same component library and duplicate it in the new file, and then just make some tweaks around that so that I can get started at least very quickly. And then drag and drop used to work very well with components. So this is why I try to give these sessions on such platforms like Rethinking UX and also YouTube. I conduct online sessions there as well. So my idea is to bring people closer to the industry who are just getting started, and also make them pro at Figma. So today's session is all about unearthing the hidden features or some plugins that you might not know about, or you might have some problems, but you might not know that this plugin can solve it, or this shortcut, or this trick, or this tip can solve it for me. Okay, so this is what I'd be doing here, and I'm available on social media platforms on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can reach out to me at any time. Right. I would go ahead, and the first thing is that whenever you are whenever you are designing any screen or designing any application or any flow, what happens is that you might want to change the font at some point. You might want to see that what if I change this font to another font and see how the look and feel is that is then. Okay, so there's a plugin by the name of Fonts Changer. You can go on to, if you right click on your Figma file, you can go on to the plugins, and if you go over here, you can click on browse plugins in community and search for this plugin. which is by the name of Font Changer. Okay, so here I will show you how I have kind of put. So these are my screens. Okay, if I want that this font might not look very good, I might want to change it. So there are two ways to do it. Okay, one is that if I had it defined as a text style, I can change it in the definition. If I don't have it as a text style, what I can do is I can select all of these and then change it. But that would take a lot of time in case there are a lot of screens. So what I can do is I will select all the frames. So this works across frames, that as many frames as you select, the fonts changer plugin would only affect those frames. Okay. So you can go to fonts changer plugin and then you can use another font. So you can see that these are the three variations. So this is the larger size because yeah, this is the font that I want to change, Fala 1, which is this font. I want to change this, so I'll just select this font. So this is the one I want to change, and what I want to change it with is the one I will enter it here. I can enter any font. You can search for any font over here, and then click on replace. So you can see how easily I was able to replace it. So in case you are not using text styles and you are not using styles basically in your design, so you can use this approach of using this font changer plugin and then just changing the font, that one font that you want to edit or want to change in your entire design. I can change it like this. You can see with only with the font my entire look of the particular screens are changing or the particular flows are changing. Alright. So take for example you don't know how to you're not aware of this plugin. How would you do it otherwise? Okay. And there is a very hidden native feature built in Figma that if I click on this text, okay, so you can see that there are some properties associated with this text. The font name is Epilogue, it's regular, its size is 14. So what you can do is there's a very neat shortcut that has been announced in Figma, which is control and / key. Okay, so if you press that, this menu opens up. So this is kind of a quick access menu. Instead of going here and finding it in this edit options. So if you go here, you can find it in edit options, which you can select all with same text properties. So wherever the same text properties will be there, exactly the same, it will select all those text layers, and then you can change them all at once, right? So if you don't know about that plugin, you can use this approach as well. And here I think there was something different, that is why I didn't select this. So let me just check. Yeah, I think it has some exceptions. That is why you can you can use the font changer plugin if the native version doesn't work out, and you can also use it across different layers. So for example, I select this layer and I click on control and control or command and / then I can type same, and then it will show you what properties you can select or what elements you can select with different properties. So it is asking me whether I want the layer that I've selected and I want to select all the layers with the same effect. So I can choose that I want the layer to be selected with the same property. So I don't have that here, so it will not be selected. If I go over here, I can type in same. I can select all with same properties. You can see that these two are selected now. So there are some limitations. I don't know if it works all across the screens because this was not able to be selected. I think because this is a component, that is why it was not able to be selected. But if you don't use components and if you want to anyway enjoy the luxury or enjoy the uh, you know the customization of components, you can use some plugins in that case. So this plugin will really help you edit the font or edit the particular font that you want to change across many screens. So you just have to select all the frames that have that font and right click and then change to that particular font that you want. Okay, so this one will be the first plugin that I would want you all to make use of in your daily life if you are stuck anywhere, or if you feel that it's a really uphill task to change the font at every place and check if how the design looks after that. So this is the first plugin that I would recommend, and this plugin is something that a lot of people might not know about. So if anyone can tell me what exactly this plugin does. So by the just by the name of it, I would be happy to know from you, and then I'll tell you what it exactly does. Anyone from the chat, Alok or Mayur, if you can tell me what you understand by the name auto arrange frame, and then I will move ahead with telling you what it exactly does.
Does it arrange as per layer, like layer 1 to 3?
So it does that, but what happens sometimes is that when you have a presentation, right? So if I have this presentation, which is this one, okay, and if I want to, I don't want to make it into a prototype on which I click and then it moves to next slide. So what I've done here is I've arranged them in a way that they, the order that they appear in is the order that they appear in my presentation as well. Okay. So what happens in sometimes is then that when we duplicate, so for example, I want to add another page in between. Okay. So I will move them on the right. Okay. And then I will add this another page. But what happens here is that sometimes when you have multiple, you have a lot of screens, or you have a lot of presentation slides, or even when you are designing screens, say for example, this is one flow, and there are two ways of navigating in prototype. You can either use arrow keys. I'm using arrow keys right now. Otherwise you can have targets or triggers. Okay, so if I click on this, I move to next screen. That can also be one of the ways to move to the next screen, which is what happens in prototype of UI design. Okay, but sometimes when you hand it off to people who are not well versed with Figma, or say you are handing it off to the marketing team, okay, or you are handing it off to the product managers who are not very well versed, or not very, who don't use Figma as much. What I have seen sometimes is that they use the arrow key to go back to the same screen that they have come from, but that doesn't happen in Figma, because the order that is followed inside this presentation is the order that is appears in over here. So you can see that I have placed them in an order which is 1 2 3 4 5 6, and this is the exact order that they appear in on my presentation slides as well. But sometimes what happens is that when you have a very big file, this order might get distorted, or this order might get very construed. Okay, so whenever you click on the arrow key, you might not go back to the same screen, you might go back to a different screen, because in the layers panel it is not in the same order as it is in your prototype. So what you can do in that case is you just select all the screens, all the frames that you have, right click, go to this plugin auto arrange frames, and if you have screens from top to bottom, you can click on arrange from top to bottom, and the screens that appear from top to bottom will appear top to bottom in the layers panel as well. And if you have them left to right, then they will appear left to right in the layers panel as well. Okay, so this is how it's done, right? So you can see that it has arranged them, the left to right arrangement has been arranged in top to bottom, which is what the order will be in my presentation slides. I can show you how it will break. So for example, this is my third frame. If I move it down in the layers panel, you can see that now if I show you the page number, this is the first one, the second, and yeah, let me just check. I'll have to replay this prototype, then it will update. But if you kind of change it in here in the layers panel, then you would also see those changes over here. Okay. So sometimes it happens that you have to make this order, the order that you see on the screen, the same order as it should appear in the prototype. So this is the plugin that you can use. And sometimes what also happens is that when I go on to rename it, it doesn't get renamed in the same order. So 1 2, and this will sometimes be 4, this will sometimes be 5. So for example, if I select all these frames and click on command or control R, then if I want to rename them as rethinking slash tips, and then slash then I can add a number. Okay, so you can see that, yeah, exactly my point here, 1 2, and this is being named as 4. So instead of just naming them like this, what I can do is I will click undo, and then right click on this and name left to right alignment. And now if I rename it rethinking and slash tips/number. You can see it is named in the order that I want it to be named. So naming convention can also be fixed in this way that the naming convention is followed in the way it is arranged in the layers panel. So top to bottom, this will be 1, this will be 2, and if, for example, this is at the top, this will be named 1 instead of the other one. So this is a very particular use case when you have to hand it off or when you have to patch name some items. Only then they will be used. Okay. Yeah, Pooja has raised her hand, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Pooja, go ahead.
What was the first shortcut you mentioned for search for particular fonts?
Oh, the shortcut was so that wasn't for particular font. That was for quick access menu. So instead of going into file and searching for options, so if you come here, you click on this drop down, you can see this shortcut: Control plus backward slash. I think this is backward slash or forward slash. Sorry, I get confused between them. So you can see whatever the shortcut is showing you here, and then instead of going into the menu and searching for them, you can also run the plugins from this quick action menu. So for example, I have selected these frames, Control A or Command A, and then I want to run that font changer plugin. I can just click on Control and this quick access menu shortcut, and then I can type in the name of my plugin. So the plugin's name is Font Changer. I can just go to it and click on it. So I get the window that I used to get, even if I right clicked and went to the plugin from here.
And
So
this plugin can be applied only where we don't use styles.
no, it can be used on styles. I think it can be used on styles, but not on components, not inside components. I think. Yeah, you'll have to check that out because I usually use styles, so I didn't have to use this a lot. But where you don't use components and if you don't have style set, I think there it will be used better.
Yeah.
Or even if you have to create styles after the fact, and if you realize that, oh, I forgot to create styles, then you can select the same font from this quick action menu, and then you can just so for example, I click here, and same with all properties, I can click on this and add a style of it later on. So that is something I can do as well. And the next one will be, yeah, if anyone has any questions right now, please let me know if with the two plugins that I have just shared or the shortcut that I shared of quick access menu. It was recently announced, so I would not a lot of people might know it. So yeah, any question around that, I'll be happy to help. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next plugin. All right. So the next plugin is a very particular use case based plugin, which is, like I showed you, you can select multiple font or multiple text layers with the same properties. You can do that with different layers as well. Okay, so for example, I have this card, right? I will name all these cards the same for now. I will name them card. Over here also I will name them card. Right, and if I want that, if I'm not using components, so this is a way around not using components, or if you don't feel the need to make components, then there are some plugins that will give you the flexibility of doing that. So for example, I want to select the cards in all the screens that appear. So what I'll do is this, there is a plugin by the name of SimiLayer. Okay, similar and layer, it's a combination of those two. I click there, and then it has some filters that I can add. For example, if I only want to search for the card frame layer, I can select that. Okay, so I will not limit it to the root frame. I will click on this, and let me see, there is some issue over here. Yeah, so I will have to add some property. Okay, I will have to select if there is an auto layout apply as auto layout, and then size can be another one. Yeah, I think those are the only ones. Then I can choose select, and say since I had limited it to a root frame, so these are two inside a frame, that is why it has only selected the ones inside this frame. And then you can also scale it up to different screens. So if I uncheck this, I will select has auto layout, and I will select same padding and uncheck this box. So you can see it has selected all the cards across all the screens that I had. And now I can edit their properties from here itself. If I want to add padding here, I can do that. If I want to reduce the padding, since I have used auto layout, it will help me do that as well. So uh, you can find all the card layers that you are using across different screens. So this can be used in multiple ways. One is for discovering different uses of the same layer, and also for making changes to the same layer by finding them using the similar property. Also, you can so for example, this is my bookmark icon. I can go to similar and search for this icon. I can go to other variants, or I can select its size, okay? And then it will select all the bookmark icons here. It has selected these ones because they are also as components, and they are, I think they will be named as, yeah. So this is how you can select different items if you don't have a component structure set yet. So this is a very useful plugin that you can use, right? And yeah, any question, let me know. I'll try to help you out with that. Otherwise, I'll move on to some very simple tricks that you might not know about, and you might want to use them, or might help. These might help you out at some point or the other. All right. So the next thing is that these are some things that I wanted to cover as tips and tricks. So apart from the plugins, so I have covered the first two, that select all with similars, run plugin from quick access bar. Next one, I think a lot of people might know about this as well, which is the nudge amount. So if the nudge amount is basically, if you go over to this drop down, you go over to quick action, you can select nudge amount. So what the nudge amount is, that if you click on the arrow key once, it defines how much you want to move that particular element. So small nudge is when you move, click on the arrow key once, it will move by 1 pixel. If I click on shift and arrow in any direction, then it will move by 8 pixels or 8 points, whatever the convention you are following. Okay, I can change that. So depends on your spacing system, what spacing system you are using. So for example, I want to move this frame from this screen. Okay, so I will show you. I will click on shift and then press right arrow key. So you can see it has moved 20 pixels because I had the shift, because I had the big nudge set to 10, which can be triggered by shift and the arrow key. But if you want to keep it at 8, you can do that as well. Just go to quick access bar and change this number. So it happens that somewhere in some projects you might want to use some different convention. So you can go to that project and select the nudge amount for that, for being used in that project. This nudge appears all across your file, so you can just set it once and all the files will have this option. All the files will have the same nudge amount, but if you want to change it every time, you can just change it for that particular file, go on to the next one, and then change it back to that particular file's nudge amount. So I use 8 pixel spacing as spacing guide basically. So I use 1 and then 8 as my big nudge. So you can also do it. Some people they couldn't find this option. I saw someone using it. So what they used to do is, they wanted to have a spacing of 8. Okay, so every time they wanted to move it by 8, what they would do is they would click on shift and down or shift or right, and then they would move it up by 2 pixels so that it goes on to 8. And sometimes what happens is that you want to move it 32 pixels. So what they would do is they would move it down 3 times and then move it 2 times again. So instead of doing that, you can just set it to 8, which is your spacing convention, and then use it accordingly. So this is something that I feel some people don't know about. Most of you know about it if you are using it in your organizations, but this is a great thing that you can set up for yourself.
I think Pooja raised her hand. Maybe Pooja,
Okay.
question.
Yeah, I have a small
You are not audible right now. Can you just come closer to the mic?
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, yeah, much better.
Yeah. Why do we use a multiple of 8 for spacings, for padding, for everything?
Okay, this is a convention that I follow. So, for example, if you select any of these screens, I design primarily for Android and web screens. So you can see that these are a multiple of 8 or 4, and there is no. So there are different. I follow the material design convention. That is why I use it, and
Okay.
this is what
Yeah.
is given in material design convention: 8, 16,
Okay. Okay.
32, exponential scaling.
Yeah, because I have seen lots of people use this, so but I didn't know
Hmm.
it's given in material design guidelines.
Yeah, I
Okay.
use that on Android. You can, I mean, depends on what your organization is using as well. I wouldn't say you stick to 8 or stick to 10 or anything like that. But whatever you define, you can just define it over here. So it's easy for you to make that change.
I think most of the
Okay.
organizations started using this once this material design was launched, and
Yeah.
I think it has become a very common culture from the people that they should be using 8 pixel. I mean, I think that is the recommended one, Pooja, that you should be using that 8 pixel one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I just wanted to know that where it has come from, or is there any,
mhm.
specific device which for which we use 8, or it's like in general we should use
Mhm.
multiples of 8s.
Mhm. You can, I can link one article for you, the spacing guide article that you can go through. So this can be followed across web and also in mobile designs. So even the grid and the columns that you give, they have a spacing of multiples of 8 between them and the margins that you leave on the side as well. So it is a very scalable system, I would say. I mean, I use this. I haven't gone back to any other form because 5 and 10 there are some exceptions that you might not be able to add the elements at equal distances. So, for example, you use the iPhone frame, you might not be able to, or some other frame, you might not be able to center the item and have the same spacing for right and left. I mean, I'm just telling you from the top of my mind, but this is something that I use generally.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And the other one is that if you want to have a naming series, for example, I showed you here. For example, you have 5 screens in this flow. You have 3 tabs, and then you have these 3 tabs, and inside each of these tabs you have 2 states. So what you can do is you can select the screens that come under that tab, right? And then so these are the 2 screens that come under home tab. And then if I want to rename them together according to a logic, what I can do is just select them both and click on Control or Command R, and then rename it according to whatever the flow they are occurring in. So they are occurring in the home flow, and then I can rename it as number. Okay, so screen number 1 and 2, and similarly you can name these two as well. So if there are a lot of screens and you want to follow some naming convention with numbers, then you can do that easily using the rename tab or the rename option, rename pop-up that would appear, which is native to Figma. And yeah, this is something I think a lot of people use. And if you don't use it, then in case you are stuck, or if you want to name different screens according to a logic at once, you can select them all and then just click on Control or Command R, and that's all you would have to do. So this is another a shortcut, another tip that you can follow. And the next one, I think a lot of people might have missed because bullets were recently announced in Figma. And what what used to happen earlier is that I used to go to this emojis bar and select this dot, okay, this dot from here, and then add it to each of these layers. But what has happened now is that if you have typed in some text in different lines, you can go on to this options menu inside text, and here you have the bullets option. You can set the bullets to whatever you want. You can set it as these bullets, and you can set it as number bullets as well. And this is something not a lot of people know right now. So this is if you want to have a listicle or some amount of some numbered elements, then you can use this list. So I wanted to use them as numbers, but I also wanted to show you how you can use it. And if you want to break out of this list, what you can do is just press on backspace or delete key, and then type in the text. So I will name them tips, and you can also nest these list items. So for example, I want 2 and 3 under 1. So what I do is I'll click on tab. So these become A and B. And if I want renaming easily and introduction of bullets under B, I will have to press tab 2 times. Alright, so I will press tab 2 times. And then again, I want another layer, I will press tab 3 times. And if you want to go back to the initial, so if I want setting thumbnail to be at the same level as renaming easily, I will press shift and tab. So, and if I want to go a level back at the level of A and B, I will press shift and tab again, and I will press shift and tab again, so that I can, to go further inside, you can press tab. To go back, you can press shift and tab. So yeah, if you want to use bullets and you want to make them work for you, then you can use these shortcuts and by applying bullets and then using these shortcuts to have nested lists. Alright, so this is something that I think you might have missed because it was recently announced, and these shortcuts were not, I haven't seen a lot of people use these shortcuts as well. Yeah, look, this is great, because otherwise what I would do is I would manually enter the number and then enter the number on the next line as well. So it has
That tab thing is known thing, but that shift tab is something new that people might not even think of.
right. So it is natively now there in Figma, so you can use that. And yeah, basically bullets on some additional features, right? And then the last one is that this is something that a lot of people have trouble with. So for example, you can see on my file that there are some files that have a very good thumbnail. So this one is a practice file that I made for one of my sessions. So this is a file, I'm not able to identify which file is it, what is the name of the file, and this is another file, and this is another file that I have used, right? So what Figma shows you outside is what the first page in your design is. So for example, this is a file that I have named as season 2 basically. So I have set this file thumbnail as something, okay? So for example, I want to identify very easily that this is the file that I want to go to, okay? So for example, I open this file. I'm not able to identify why I made this file or what is the purpose of this file, but if I come inside, there are a lot of animations, okay? So if I want to remember that I want to, so that these are the this is the animation file, what I can do is I can click on this frame and go on to Figma community and click on plugin/file cover, and then type in some text over here, random text that will help you identify which file it is. I can call it animation file. Alright, and then I can scale it up. I can scale it up to 96 or something. And then if I want to make it appear on this part as well, here as well, what I would do is I will just right click on this frame name and then click on set as thumbnail. Okay, what it has done is that whenever I scroll, when I'm scrolling through my files, because there are a lot of files, right, and I want to identify which file it is, what is the reason I use it. So here you can see I set that animation file frame as the thumbnail, and that is why it was able to grasp that thumbnail and show it to me outside in the group of files that I have. So this is something that you can do to identify these files and very easily skim through them and see what file is used for what. Okay, so this is something I would recommend to everyone, because it's a very scalable way of doing things. So if I come on to another account of mine, you can see that I have named some of these files according to what their purpose is and what is the file, what are the components inside the file. Okay, so this is how you can easily identify these files, right? And yeah, this is something that you can use. You can create a system wherein you can create it on a different page, or even if you have a similar, if you have a page where you can create a frame of this size. So this is the size that is recommended. It is already there in the frames options. Okay, and then you can click on it, and then you can write anything in it. So, and right click on it and define it as a thumbnail, so that whenever you look at it from the outside in the files panel, you can easily identify it. So yeah, this is another tip that I would like to give you. I think a lot of people might not know about this. I'm not sure.
Yeah, even I did not know about this thing. This is very interesting part. I'm very,
Yeah.
I think Pooja had a question. Pooja raised it. Pooja,
Okay.
please go ahead.
No, it was by mistake. I have some
Okay.
questions, but I'll ask in the end.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
are
Okay.
general questions. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Great. Right. So this is all about some tips and some small things that you might not have noticed recently or while using Figma, because not everyone uses it on a daily basis. And now I will move on to some shortcuts that you can use on a daily basis. But if you have any questions till now, I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah. Anyone who has any questions, please let me know. You can either unmute yourself or put them in the chat so I can easily answer the questions for you.
I think we can go ahead, and then people might have question at last. That
Sure. Sure. So I would like you to take a look at these shortcuts, right? And we'll use them in design as well. Okay. So I think Control D is a shortcut that is known by a lot of you, Command or Control D. But there is another way of using it, that if you want to, so I can duplicate anything in just clicking on Control or Command D, right? For example, if I come to this file, now this page, I can click on this component and click on Control D. What it has done is it has placed it on the top of my existing component, right? It has not placed it ahead, or it has not placed it away from this layer or this frame. What if I want to create multiple copies of it and I want them to be at the same spacing whenever I create a new one? What you can use in that case is, sorry, hold down the Option or the Alt key and drag and press the Shift key if you want to have it in the same line. So Option, Shift and the mouse drag. Using the mouse drag, you can place it at whatever distance you want. So whatever distance you place it at, it will be placed at that. And if you now start pressing Control or Command D, you can see that it will go on to it will keep repeating itself at the same distance from at what I placed it initially at. So if you need to do this, you can do that as well very quickly. Another thing I would like to mention here is, so for example, there are some cases where you have to not make them align horizontally, you have to place them vertically. What do you do then? One way is place it here, look at alignment, place it here, look at alignment and distance. Another thing you can do is select them all, right? And then just press auto layout. Now we have them in horizontal layout, and I want to change them to vertical. I will just press this down arrow and then remove the auto layout. So in very simple steps, I was able to remove I will just ungroup it, basically unframe it, so that each one of these is their own frame. And if I now want to make it into a horizontal layout from vertical, I'll just press Shift A and change it to horizontal, and then press Control Shift and G, which will ungroup it or unframe it. So if you want to align screens, or if you want to place screens from top to bottom, and in case they are from left to right, just press Shift A and then change the layout, and then press Control Shift G or Command Shift G. So they are ungrouped after that. Right. So this is something that I use when I don't want to place them one by one, I don't have the time to do that because I have to hand it off very quickly. I use this shortcut and then unframe and frame it outside the auto layout. And I'm able to do that in very quick steps. All right. So I told you about the duplication, and I told you about how you can change the layout or the placing, which is this shortcut, Command or Control D. Okay. And another one is when you have to create a component. I feel this a lot of people might know this. So if you want to create a component, if you have defined some button, right? If I'm defining a button, then I can create a component by clicking on Control Alt or Command Option K, right? So I have created it, and if I want to detach it, I can go right click on it and click on detach if I'm using an instance of it. Okay, so detach instance is Control Alt B or Command Option B. This is a very simple shortcut that you can use. I use that on a daily basis because I work with components in files, and you can make it a part of your day-to-day usage if you use components on a daily basis. All right. And the next one is that if I want to copy the properties of one frame to another frame, I can use the shortcut Control Alt or Command Option C or V. So C is for copy, V is for paste. So for example, um, I have this text. Okay, I will right click on it, go to copy properties, which is the shortcut I was talking about, and then go to this text, and I will just press Command Option V. So it has taken all the properties from that text, and you can also apply it at a frame level. Okay, so if I want to apply something at a frame level, for example, how do I explain it? For example, this is the image I want to take to this image, right? I want to copy this image. Instead of placing it here and then adjusting the spacing, what I can do is, so image acts as a background to a frame. Okay, so treat image as a style as well. So what I will do is, I will right click, copy the properties. So image is one of the properties. I will click on this frame and paste this property. So you can see the image is pasted over here as well. So instead of copying this image to different pages or different frames, I can just click on this image, click on Control Alt or Command Option C for copying it, and Command Option V or Control Alt V to paste it. So if you have multiple places that you want the same image, then you can do that as well. Okay, this which is this property, Control Alt C/V. Okay, and another one is that if you have some icon, for example, I use a chevron, and I want to use a right chevron instead of a left chevron. And how can I do it? I can either create another icon, or what I can do is, wherever I'm using it, so this is pointing to the left. So the shortcut to flip it vertically or horizontally is Shift or H or Shift or V. So if I flip it vertically, there is no difference in it because it's a mirrored image vertically. But if I want to change its direction horizontally, I can click on Shift and H, and it will reverse 180 degrees. So you can see it is reversing 180 degrees whenever I'm clicking on Shift and H. Okay, so if you want to use it in the left alignment somewhere, you can use this. If you want to use it in right alignment, you can use this. Okay, so this is a Shift H and Shift V property, flip vertical or flip horizontal along the axis. And this I already talked about, open quick access menu. All right, and yeah, so these are some very basic shortcuts. Some very small shortcuts can be that if you want to go inside a layer, you can click on enter, and if you want to go in a level up, you can click on shift and enter, so that you can navigate between these very easily. Okay, and one more shortcut that I recently found out was that if you have say this if you have this component, if you click on command and right click on it, you will be able to see different layers inside it. Okay, so if I click on this component, if I click on this screen, for example, and whatever layers are in this screen in whatever hierarchy, so I have at the very top the frame 6, right, which is this frame, and inside that I have these cards, and then I have this frame 3, which is the text combination. So if I want to not go on, not expand these layers and then go on to these layers, what I can do is just come on to this screen, right click on it, So right click wouldn't do anything. I'll have to press the command or control key in Mac or Windows. Then right click on it. You can see the layers hierarchy is appearing now. You can go into different frames. So if I click here, you can go into the card. You can go into other. So you can see what the hierarchy is set up over here. So this is iPhone 12. If you go on to any internal frame, and if you want to go outside, you can right click and navigate to external elements also, the parent of the particular element that you have selected. So you can press Control or Command and then right click so that you can see the hierarchy and select iPhone 12, the screen directly from inside the element that you have inside. Okay. So this is a shortcut that I recently discovered, and yeah, next one is pretty simple, which is if you have to add an auto layout to any elements, just press Shift A, even if you don't see it on the right hand side, and then it will have an auto layout, and then you can nest auto layouts. I will duplicate this button on the right hand side, select these two buttons, and then add an auto layout. So these are now in an auto layout as well with the Shift key. This is a very basic shortcut, and I think this a lot of people might know that if you want to set an opacity of any particular layer, then you just click on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 0. So these indicate 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% opacity. You can see it changing over here. If I click on 1, it has changed to 10. And if I click on 1 and 3 in succession, very quickly, it will change to 13 or it will change to 45 if I click them very quickly. Right, so this is something that you can take away, and yeah, these are all the properties. I think masking will take a lot of time, so you can use this shortcut when you have to create a mask of any element. How masks work in Figma is a bit different. In other software like Adobe software, the layer at the top acts as a mask, but in Figma, the layer at the bottom acts as a mask. So you can take that idea that if you want to create a mask, then you have to create a layer at the very bottom and all the layers you want to mask at the top of that layer. So, and the shortcut can be used as Command Option or Control Alt M. All right, so these are all the things that I have to cover. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I can send you this presentation, no worries.
I can see Pooja raising the hand.
Yeah, tell me, Pooja.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm asking too much.
No, not a
Just
problem.
just 2-3 more questions.
Uh-huh.
One thing I wanted to know, does Figma serve all the purpose of UI design as well?
The UI design, I use it for everything actually. I don't use any other software now. So depends on what your use case is. You can create thumbnails, you can create presentation decks like this, and you can also create different promotional event posters like Mayur mentioned. So depends on your use case basically.
Okay. So, and one more thing that I never used Adobe XD. I started with Figma only, but if I need to convince someone that Figma is better than Adobe XD, then means what would be the major one or two points?
One is, see, I would say collaboration is the main point, that everyone can be on the same file, which cannot have. I use the collaboration features on XD some time ago. What used to happen is we were two people working on the design file, right? So if someone updated something on their end, then I'd have to accept those changes, and my changes from the time they have edited would be gone.
Oh.
So there was a lot of issue with collaboration, and prototyping is one thing. So for example, you have 100 screens, which is a very normal use case in big organizations and big files. If you want to upload that prototype, it used to take me 1 hour to upload that prototype in Adobe XD. Every time, not only once, every time, right? So whenever I used to push it to the cloud, it used to take me 1 hour to upload it to the cloud. And even if I had to make a minor change, it would take the same amount of time. But in this, as soon as you edit the prototype, as soon as you edit the design, it gets reflected in the prototype. So for example, this is my Figma 101, right? Screen. I edit it over here. It gets updated instantly.
Okay.
right? So these
Yeah.
are the
Yeah.
two main things, and design system is another thing. I mean, that is a use case based because I had to create a very scalable library for some of the projects that I worked on, which was not very handy in Adobe XD. Sketch is good
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, this design system is like, because I'm in the process of applying for jobs here in Germany, and I
Okay.
have seen lots of companies have this requirement of maintaining design system, using
Hmm.
it, and making a design system for new products.
Okay.
So, do you have any recorded session on this, or can we have sometime another?
I have
Uh,
it. I have two-part session on my YouTube actually. I did it quite some time ago. I'll just link it over here, okay, for your reference. That is not so you. There are two. So people understand design systems to be same as component libraries, but there are certain differences between them. So what I have taught in the first master class is basically my component library, and design system has a lot of other elements to it as well. So you need to learn a bit more about it, read up online, and that is,
mhm.
I mean, that is something I would suggest to you. Read up online on that.
Okay, and last question is, I have seen like most of us using free version of Figma.
Okay.
Why do we need to buy a license for this?
Why do we need to buy? Because they need to make money. So I don't
But
use.
but if they are giving everything in
Uh-huh.
free version, then why anybody will buy it?
Hmm.
I think you
For
get
example,
only one project free. You don't get multiple projects free.
I'll. नहीं, नहीं, so they are changing it a bit right now. For example, I can invite any number of you people on this file, right? I can invite hundreds of you on this file, but with the recent update, I can only have the edit access to myself, and all of you can have the view access. I cannot give
Okay.
the edit access to anyone else. Okay,
Uh,
and if I want to change it to, say, if I'm working in a team, then I will have to create a new team here, and in that I will get access to 3 files which are editable by, I think, 3 people at a time, and I can add any number of files in that. So they're restricting it so that I mean, there was a lot of files that we used to create, so I think they're limiting it because of that. But if you're using it for your personal use, then I don't think you need a paid plan.
as of now, I'm just practicing it and making
Yeah,
1 2 projects. That's it.
yeah, you don't need a paid plan then in that case.
May I add to what Pooja asked?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So they're they're going to change something from the 21st of April, which is also their annual convention where a lot of designers are coming. All of you can register; it's free. Uh,
Config.
so as of now, what happens is you can create 3 projects, and you can have unlimited number of pages under it, and you
Hmm.
can only invite one editor per project, or all three
Hmm.
projects. You can't add more than one editor.
Yeah.
So when you're working in an organization, you have multiple editors, multiple designers working on the same project. So that is
Yeah.
when you need to buy license.
Right.
What they are now changing it to is the fact that you can have multiple projects and
Hmm.
multiple editors. So there will not be any restriction on number of editors or projects,
Yeah.
but each project cannot have more than 3 pages. As of now, you can add multiple pages, but
Oh,
beyond 21st, you will not be able to add more than 3 pages per project. What you can do, I mean, if you want multiple projects, is any project that is created before 21st,
Hmm.
they will not touch any of those projects. So if you want to have one project with say 100 pages, you can create that and leave it. So it will not affect post 21st. So that's the difference.
I can help you out with creating 100 pages.
okay, that's interesting. It's
Yeah.
good to know, Shiv. Thank you so much.
But you can anyway work with the free plan. I've been using free plan all this while. I have not faced any issue. There's a question by Marcella. If I'm Yeah, how did you animate the background of your presentation? Oh, thank you. So I have used the interactive components feature that was recently announced. what I've done is I have placed, this is a component, this deck component is there. If I go to this component, I have them in 4 variants, so whichever I want to make them as. This was the first, this I used in the first presentation. In second I changed it, and in the third I changed it again. So what you can do is, you can use the interactive components feature, which was recently announced, and then I have set them, I have 6 states of them. The circles are in different spots, and then I have linked them as interactive components like this, and changed it to after delay and given it a delay of whatever time I want. So it changes to the next screen automatically in 200 or 2 seconds, and then when it reaches the last screen, it comes back to the first screen. And this this entire line, this entire line is one component. Actually, these all of them are one component because I have them set as variants. Here I have set them as variants, so I change the theme wherever I want to use it, and then the background also gets changed. That is how I have put them here. I hope I was able to answer that. Yeah.
That interactive component parts you need to practice a little bit. It looks
Yeah.
very easy looking like this, but yeah, you need to practice a little bit to get
Right. Yeah, so in Friends of Figma New Delhi, I created a YouTube page for that. I posted about how you can create interactive components. You can go check there. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, I think we are right on time.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to help you out.
So we can take last question, guys. If you have any questions, then otherwise we can wrap up.
Right. We can wrap up if you don't have any other questions.
So
I think, thank you, Karan. Shows right. Yeah, definitely, it has made my life easy. And one thing that I haven't been able to cover here, I have done 2 sessions on Friends of Figma New Delhi, is auto layout. So I'll post those 2 videos today. I think you can access them on Friends of Figma New Delhi YouTube channel. You can. So auto layout will make your life. It has made my life at least 10-15 times easier, because I don't have to create everything. I don't have to manually change anything now. I can just have some high level properties set and then change the padding and the distances between different elements. So you can check those out as well. All
okay,
right.
so with the interest of time, I think we are right on time, and
Right.
we have to. Can you send the link to channel? You're going to upload it. Okay. So there's a one message from Masala. That's fine. Okay. So we are right on time. Thank you guys for
Right.
joining, and I would recommend all of you, if you have any questions, Karan is already on our Slack channel. You can ask your
Right.
questions there as well. So he'll be happy to help over there. One request from my side to all of you, that if you have your testimonial for this masterclass, I would love to know that. And if you can share your testimonial about the masterclasses, if we have covered all these classes, and if you really find that this is interesting for you, this is going to help you in your career, in your personal life, please do share your testimonial with me personally. I'll share that on our social media, on our website as well. So would love to know your testimonial, and it will kind of encourage Karan as well to give his best, because he has given a good time and he has given a lot of information that is very interesting and insightful for all of us. And thank you so much, Karan, for giving your time to Rethinking UX and
Thank
for
you.
sharing all this very interesting part. Thank you so
You're
much.
most welcome.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Karan.
I'll just share all these decks. Okay, I'll share the link with you, Alok. You can put them in the Slack group.
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, I'll put all these decks from all the 3 sessions that we have done till now.
Sure, perfect.
Okay, yeah, thank you everyone. I hope these were very helpful to you. I hope you will be able to use them in your day-to-day life as well. Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you so
Karan.
much.
Thanks for your time. Bye bye. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Thank you.